All right, welcome to Too Many Bards. Here with us, fresh out of Compton, uh, Patsy, the delicious bard with the 10-foot afro, and I am the irresistible Mazar. No
Take offense
ethnicity.
to the 10-foot afro.
Hey, no ethnicity, okay? I identify as neutral.
Yes, you're the blank canvas upon which people may paint their ideal picture of Mazar.
True, true. I was thinking more like I'm a gearbox, but we'll go with blank canvas. Okay, so those who are new to this podcast, basically how it goes is we are here to entertain and educate. We are bards after all, and public education does not exist. So we are basically your sources of information here to educate you. So, it's the end of the week. It's nice and relaxing, Just want to chill, sit back, sip your frothy eggnog. Put your feet up on the family dog. Just have fun. You're here to relax, enjoy yourself, right?
Not guarantee that the information we will give to you will be something you're happy to know.
Yeah, but that's just the reality of life. Sometimes you gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking the good with the bad, what is today's topic, Patsy?
Today's topic is prosperity. Oh boy, this is going to be a doozy.
Speaking as someone who has no practical experience with the term. Okay, so I think I'll be the first to impart my delicious lesson for the day.
Hell yeah.
And I figured there's no place better to start, than to understand the root of the word prosperity. You got to go back to the nerds that created it, right? So we're gonna take a little dive into the language of the Pope, the Latino. So are you ready to have your mind blown?
Latin, not Latino, like as in, the Latin Americas, but like Latin as in the Roman language.
Yeah, the guy with the big pointy hat.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, the pointiness is how you know that they're important. Did you ever see an important person with a non-pointy hat? I'm just asking before we get into this. Like all the hats are pointy.
That explains why the US presidents don't have hats.
Exactly, because they're not important.
Uh,
Compared to Uber Pope Man, Uber Pope Man has a direct line to God. What does Barack Obama have a direct line to? Pizza Hut?
Possibly, yes.
I mean,
Federal
God,
pizza.
God could make it rain pizza. I think we know who won.
That is a prosperity natural catastrophe.
Yes, but it solves world hunger. Two
For
birds with
about a
one
day.
stone.
For
I'm
about a
thinking,
day or two until it starts going bad, and then we have a lot of bigger issues.
no, no. We don't have bigger issues. It just the meal of the day switches from fresh hot pizza to delicious roasted seagull
Okay.
stuffed with pizza.
But with 5-day-old pizza. What could go wrong?
It's the fermentation that really makes the difference.
I mean, sure, that's one way to like kill off the lactose intolerant population.
I mean, okay.
That
I,
will
I
make it
honestly,
rain more.
I honestly don't know, like, how to respond to lacto genocide, but I'm gonna go back to the point I was making.
Yeah,
Latin,
prosperity, whatnot.
Latin, and prosperity. Origin: prospero, which means I cause to succeed. All right. Now I want you to think about that for a minute. If we think about
Yeah.
prosperity as the thing that causes to succeed, right? What does prosperity mean? Prosperity means I cause to succeed. Right? Now I want you to think about that for a minute. If we think about prosperity as the thing that causes to succeed, right? What does prosperity mean? Prosperity means I cause to succeed. Right? doesn't that technically mean that steroids are a sign of prosperity?
Well, definitely for you financially, because you got to have the money to even purchase that shit.
No, but like, here's the thing. Something that makes you succeed doesn't necessarily have to be morally right, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can be prosperous and be like a cheat.
Absolutely, dude. Like I had this like I'm gonna call her an acquaintance because I don't want to be like even associated as friends with that person. Who was no, listen, who was arguably one of the dumbest people I've ever met, and that's a tall order on my end. Um, just a preface, it took her 2 hours to learn how to play Uno. I'm just gonna go with that.
No.
Yes,
No.
yes. This person cheated her way through the entirety of college. Luckily, I didn't have the same classes as her, and we're different generations, so that's fine. But the point is, she is now an assistant, which just tells you you don't finish college if you're smart. You just gotta be persistent and tenacious.
And learn how to play Uno, apparently.
No, that was just a side note on like her just like general level of intellect.
Well, I honestly, at this point, I think it says something when you ask someone, how do I measure someone's intelligence? And most people would be like, math, spatial reasoning, anything like that. The minute you use a deck of Uno cards as a measure, I think I've lost all faith for humanity.
Yep, especially if it's the basic rules with no like homebrew or house rules or like jumping ins or doubles or anything. It's just like
Oh yeah.
the basic rules. Just like we go in order, there's no jumping in. You don't have a card, you don't have anything to put down. You draw a card, the next person goes, and that's the rule. That's the rule.
Okay, here's the thing. You know how they say Monopoly is the game that destroys friendships and everything? I completely disagree. Because Monopoly, at least you know the rules of the game, right? You have no one to blame but yourself for the position you're in. Uno is the one game that no one agrees on the rules. And so, like, that right there is, is the actual end of friendships. You're not even playing to ruin your relationship with each other.
Well, unless you're a douche nozzle like me and actually bring the physical rules that came with the box.
Oh my god. You aren't one of those people. You can't be. No.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. The issue is, I was the only parody who could read English, so that didn't really help my case.
Oh. Okay. My god. So, like, but here's the thing. You could technically use that to your advantage, right? You could lie and say the rules are whatever works for you, as long as you're consistently lying. And ergo, we go back to consistency is the key to success.
That it is. That it is. That it is.
Right. So, Prospero, I cause to succeed. But wait, it gets even deeper. In Old Latin, it's based in two things, right? Pro spere, which means according to expectation. Now, this, I think, probably gives me the best idea of understanding prosperity, right? Because here's the thing. What if you expect someone to fail? Did they not prosper?
Well, that's a different aspect. Like if you're expecting somebody else to fail, that's not necessarily for how I view prosperity. It's not like if you're expecting yourself to fail and are looking forward to it, that's a different story. Like when I entered prosperity, like when I did the entrance exam for this one college, I was so prosperity I failed. I would be so miserable there. I would have hated my education.
You see? You prospered!
I did. God knows I did. Same reason why I knew. Same reason when I went from prosperity, when I went from public college to private college. I absolutely bloomed in the private environment. The public college was an absolute nightmare. I hated that place. And the only reason I even transferred was because if I didn't, I'd be flunked a year.
See, it all worked out. According to the grand scheme of expectations, you succeeded at failing, ergo, you prospered. So just, I want you to take that nugget of wisdom, anytime you feel like a failure, consider it this way. Did you expect something different? No? Congratulations. You now can officially tell people you are prosperous.
Exactly. It's the same. It's the same mentality I took up when I started playing Magic. It's like I'm not gonna play competitive. I don't want to. I don't want to mortgage a house and sell my kidney
Yeah, it's
just to be able to afford a deck.
yeah, just to lose to like a 12-year-old.
Who just had the luck of the draw? Yeah, that's why I enter a game expecting to lose, but at least making everybody else miserable along the way and having some fun with it. That's why I play the most toxic decks.
I mean, yeah, I imagine there are some people like playing competitively. It's just not fun. If you make your own fun, like I play just to see the tears of children, that right there, that's incentive enough to play, because
Nah, go on.
every victory is going to be hollow, because there's always the next person you have to beat. But those tears, they last a lifetime.
No, I've had my fair share of hollow victories where I would win, but I did not feel like I won because it was just not even a struggle. It's like, hey, can I play this? Nope. This? Nope. I play this, destroy. Play this, sacrifice. I'm like, bruh. Let me play the goddamn game.
Oh man, it would be like the one kid that brings a machete to the football pitch every day, and he's like, "I'm ready to play football." And the minute you pass the ball to him, he just slices it in two, and he's like, "Good game, guys. Draw. Good game."
Good game. Leaves.
Okay, so.
Oh, or that one kid who brings the ball, and whenever he starts losing, he takes the ball and goes home.
True. This is why I don't play sports. There's the rich continue to dictate the game. It's not a fair sport.
No, it is absolutely not. Which is why I opt to make everybody who plays Magic with me miserable. But when I say everybody, I do mean everybody at the table. I build my decks in such a way that the more players there are, the stronger and the worse my decks get.
So what you're saying is, you like to create that society that we live in.
Yeah, especially when I pair up with a friend who likes to be toxic one-on-one, but has issues when there's more people because like he doesn't have the versatility to deal with like 3 to 4 players at the same time, while I have the exact opposite. So if it's the two of us in a game, we're like the fun police.
Like I'm trying to think what would be a good like alternative, like a good analogy to this. Like the one person who thrives on the chaos of others beating each other up as he sips his tea in the corner, possibly plays a ballad.
Oh, I don't know. Every arms dealer in the world ever.
True. Right. So now that we are both well Latin educated men, I bring you to the next component. Right?
Mm,
Are you familiar with the acorn?
yeah.
Okay. I want you to imagine, all right, that a bunch of dudes dressed in rags with long beards continue to go into the forest, okay? And they eat acorns. And for that reason, we consider acorns special. Your silence says it all.
What? Okay. I get this is some form of prosperity, barbaric ritual, but like what?
Okay. Let me explain. The acorn is considered a symbol of good luck in Celtic mythology, or like good fortune. Would you like to know why?
Please do enlighten me.
Because apparently, druids used to think that if they ate acorns, they could see the future.
I can see the future. You're not gonna have many more acorn trees than that parody if you keep that shit up.
Okay, like I want you to imagine, okay, you're like a new acolyte. You're an intern druid, okay? There are these bunch of old men who are like, "Are you prepared to ascend beyond the shackles of man flesh?" And you're all hyped. You're like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it." They're like, "Consume of the holy oak nut." Okay, and you eat it, and nothing happens. And they're all like tripping out, like, "Do you feel it?" Are you gonna be the person who's gonna be like, "You all are insane"? Are you going to be like, "Yeah, I feel it, totally"?
Well, that depends on which stage in my life you ask me. If you asked me this like 10 plus years ago, I'd be like, yeah, I feel it. Right now, I'm like, yo, I'm a parody. Crazy.
Like, I honestly think the whole acorn thing was just one insane person, like like an OG druid, was already insane, ate an acorn, and rambled as a madman as he always does, but he turned out to be
I
right.
have, I have another one.
Okay.
I forget. I don't know how you call this specific mushroom in English, but there is a mushroom that like has excretions on it,
Mhm.
and those excretions are heavily hallucinogenic. So what I believe happened was he grabbed the acorn, brushed his fingers up against that mushroom, and since he put probably his entire fingers with the acorn in his mouth, that's exactly what happened.
Like it might have just it might be druids trying to cuck Christianity, where they were always using the mushroom. But once the Christian like historians were like, "Hey, what are you weird heathens doing?" And like, "Oh, we're just eating acorns." And they're like, "Why, heathen?" And they're like, "Because it makes us see the future." Like they just just lied to the historians.
I mean, a well-crafted lie can make many things happen.
True. Like personally, I would like to be a believer in the acorn. I just want to imagine that squirrels are just constantly bombed out of their gourds.
Bombed out of their cords.
Yeah, like they're just constantly high on acorn and like seeing
Oh,
the future. And that's why they're always
oh.
terrified because they know how bad the future
Isn't
is.
that, wait, isn't there like an episode of Rick and Morty where Morty accidentally can hear the squirrels talking and he realizes they're actually very sentient and intelligent beings?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
There's just like a herd of them chasing him down the street once they realize he knows.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Look, since you're referencing Rick and Morty, right? The point where like he gets that stone, I forget what it is, that shows him all possible future
Oh
paths.
yeah.
Like I think that's acorns to squirrels. That's why they're always jittery and panic all the time because they're constantly trying to. I'd say they might be good spirited and trying to save mankind from ourselves, but because they're squirrels, it like we don't understand. They're like weaving the threads of fate constantly due to the powers of acorn.
Yeah, or they could, or they're like Victor Von Doom, where if you're unaware of this, the reason he wants to rule the world is because he actually knows magic on par with Doctor Strange. Like that's the level of his mastery of magic. I think Doctor Strange is just a little bit more skillful than he is, but that's about it. And he looked into the future and he saw all possible outcomes that there could be, and the only one where the earth doesn't get destroyed by some means or another is the one where he rules.
Wow, that I've never heard a better case for like autocracy than that speech
No,
right
there
there.
are multiple storylines, of course, side storylines that aren't they technically canon, but they don't follow like the main plot. and where Doom does rule, or he's like it's essentially I forget what's the name of this storyline, but like I know like all the multiverses have stopped existing. There's nothing but the void. There are no stars. It's just like blackness everywhere. The sky is black. There's no sun. There's no nothing. There's only this one planet, and Doom is essentially a god on it, while Doctor Strange is like his prime minister.
I don't mean to derail. I'm sure this is real, but that sounds like what happens when you take a comic book writing staff, you give them all psilocybin, and then you put them all into oh god, what did they call them? Sensory deprivation chambers, and then you bring them back in to actually like talk about the story together. That is what that results in. To me, honestly.
Oh my god! Oh my dude, this gets even worse. I mean, how you get introduced into the whole parody? Sorry for cursing. Is remember how I said there's no stars?
Yes.
A star falls from the sky. And it turns out to be a new mutant whom I forget her name. I think her name is Stellaris or something like that. And she's
Very
essentially
creative.
as Marvel does. I mean, come on, Batman. Oh,
Yeah,
that's DC shit.
yeah. Why did we even have expectations?
Otherwise I'm gonna get killed.
Yeah, like why did we even expect creativity to come from these people?
Yeah, but no, that's how you get like introduced to the whole world and whatnot. And I mean, the police are literally the Thor force. It's a bunch of iterations of Thor, both male and female and whatnot. It's policing everyone.
Okay, I'm like, I was intrigued at one point, but now I'm just disturbed.
God, just a weird storyline, man.
It's just so surreal. Okay, um, so far I feel like we've sort of really gone into the mystical, and religious establishment. Much respect to druids, but we want to talk about practical understanding of prosperity, right?
Okay, but you need to help me here. How in the seven hells of Niflheim does Acorn connect to prosperity?
Seeing the future, what could be better for your prosperity than knowing all the winning lottery numbers? Act like
Yeah,
before the
or knowing
lottery
the
existed.
or as is the plot for one movie whose name I forgot, or knowing that your child is going to be born with an incurable disease and die before the age of 10. You know what could go wrong there?
The prosperity is not having the child, and thus saving yourself the expense.
Yeah, that's not how that movie works, but sure.
Do not question the almighty acorn. Okay, you non-believer. I bet you like peanuts.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Yeah,
I mean, I like Snickers. I gorge on Snickers if given the opportunity.
you eat your Snickers, all they will do is make you fat. I will eat acorns and rule the world as a cosmic being.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, back to topic. Where were we?
Okay, I find your lack of faith questionable, but I will continue. So, here's the thing that most people don't realize, right? We
Hmm.
possess a great commodity, which is also environmentally friendly, or let's say, less environmentally damaging than some other commodities used for the same purpose.
Oh, I know this one. Our kidneys.
No, 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 no. I'm referring to a wonderful, wonderful piece of literature. If you haven't read it, you should. By a wonderful man by the name of Swift. Can you guess what it is?
I have no idea.
So, Jonathan Swift wrote something called A Modest Proposal. Have you heard of this piece of
Why do I
satire?
have? Why do I have an an inkling feeling this is going to be a lot of things. Modest isn't going to be one of them.
No, honestly, it's a pretty modest proposal, right? It's not asking very much, and it's doing a lot of benefit for everyone. Please, everyone, keep in mind this is satire. This is not a genuine opinion of mine. But he posits the thing, right? You got a lot of poor people. What do a lot of poor people have?
Hands?
Yeah, but what do they have more? How do they have more hands than rich people?
I'm not going to answer this question.
If you were going to answer in the form of babies, you win the prize.
Oof. Well, actually, you're not wrong.
Okay, so here's what Jonathan Swift's modest proposal in a nutshell is. He talks about a lot of things, but this one is the takeaway, right? You are poor. You have rich people in your society. Rich people like to eat meat. You create meat in the form of babies. You need money. Why don't we cut out the cattle men, right? Better for the environment as well. Obviously, in his time, it's not an argument, but we live in the age of climate change. Trust me, there's less CO2 coming out of a baby than there is out of a cow, right? So, why don't you just sell the baby for meat to the rich?
You really need to watch Judge Dredd.
I actually
That's essentially
have
the
watched.
premise.
I have watched Judge.
Yeah, that's the premise of that movie.
I mean, Judge Dredd was basically like, how can I portray humanity as the worst of its iterations possible, and then kill it?
No, actually, no. Judge Dredd is actually quite tame in my opinion compared to some things I've seen.
Okay, but here becomes, here's the thing, right? I think this could have great potential. I'll tell you why. One, cruelty-free. Right? Because most of the animals,
I would have to disagree, but go on.
most of the animals that are slaughtered, are old enough. Right? They have to get old enough to have some form of meat on their bones. So they have to be alive for like at least 3 weeks in some case, right? So, like, in my opinion, this is a better understanding of cruelty-free because, okay, most animals need a few weeks to get meat on their bones, right? To make them profitable. Baby doesn't need that time because baby's ready for slaughter right out of the womb. Right? Just go shunk, shink, done. There is tonight's dinner.
Okay, I mean, human babies are actually kind of, if we're going to look at the grand scheme of things, the human babies are very low on the list of profitability due to the length of the incubation period, due to the amount of calories the mother actually has to intake to produce it, which is a ridiculous amount. Like an average mother eats like several times, at least her weight once in order to produce a baby in the 9 months. Wherein, on the other hand, you have these wonderful things called cockroaches. Guess what they don't suffer from that we do? Cannibalism. Cannibalism doesn't impede them in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, yeah, but I think, suggesting cockroaches would not be a modest proposal. I think that would be indecent. Cockroaches are filthy. Babies, they're sterile enough to be inside a human being for 9 months. Why shouldn't they be sterile enough for a few minutes after the pot roast?
I mean, dude, everything's sterile enough with it, sterile with enough vodka. So,
which comes to mind another thing. You have so many choices on what the baby eats. There's a huge variety. You can have a completely grass-fed baby. I'm sure the mother wouldn't enjoy it and probably would have difficulty, from malnutrition, but she could eat nothing but grass. And that would be a very expensive, 100% GMO-free, grass-fed baby.
Oof, oof, just oof.
Plus, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be cheap and affordable, right? We are selling these babies for the dinner of the rich to give better income to the poor.
This just gives me District 9 vibes.
That's because you're allergic to prosperity.
All right, in that case, I'm gonna segue this into my own little topic, and that is prosperity for whom?
All right, nice. Uh, well, I mean, are we talking about utilitarianism? Prosperity for the most is the most important.
No, because if we're talking prosperity for everyone equally, we're talking Marxism. That didn't work out too well for political reasons, not necessarily for because of the people, because they jumped into that one without working it out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like when you decide to marry someone you've been dating for 2 weeks. I'm like, bro, that's gonna be a bad time very soon, and that's exactly what happened to the USSR. While on the other hand, China figured their shit out. Of course, everybody's miserable there, but that's a different story.
Okay,
At least
I gotta cut you off
they
because you called it ridiculous. That like what did you say exactly? Like marrying someone you've only known for 2 weeks.
yeah.
I actually know someone that wants to marry someone they've only known for 2 weeks.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I mean, as with
I mean, that's a
Marxism,
lot.
I guess some people are willing to take the plunge.
I mean, that's that. Oh my god, dude! Like, no, that's a bad thing.
Hey, who are you
That's a
to judge
bad thing.
Marxism? From now on, like marriages of people you barely know are Marxist marriages. That's canon now.
You know what? I'm willing to take that. Let's go with it. Anyway, okay. So from now on, any quickly assigned marriage that is obvious that you didn't have enough time to get to know each other. Because I'm sorry, even if you speak to that person 16 hours a day for 2 weeks, you're not gonna get to know him well enough.
Mm-mm.
I mean, for all you know, maybe the way they laugh pisses you off.
I mean, but if you're gonna like break up with someone because of the way they laugh, I think you've got other issues you have to deal with. I think you have a problem with people in general if laughs are what you want to control.
Yeah, but that's veering off the point. So we got prosperity for everyone equally. That's Marxism, right?
Right.
And then we got prosperity for the most capable. That's capitalism, or I wouldn't say democracy, because democracy is more centered on voting.
I'd say it's more meritocracy. You know, the best of you gets the
Yeah,
best rewards.
and then you have my favorite, and I wouldn't say socialism per se, because socialism kind of is like an off branch of Marxism, but in a sense that we're gonna make sure that all of the public services are the best they can be, and we're going to spend an insane amount of money. I'm talking from the government's point of view, an insane amount of money doing so. But we're also going to tax the rich like stupid, but not to the point where they're going to complain. But we are going to tax them to the point where they would complain if they had a choice. So, my favorite example, and this does not have to be true, I don't care, it's a good enough story for me. And that would be this one. I forget which European country is this. I think you might be able to find an article. I didn't bother looking it up. I just liked the story enough, and that was where a dude was apparently going like a little over the speed limit in a school zone, which is heavily punishable by law.
Mm-hmm.
Like going over the speed limit anywhere else is kind of fine, but school zones are a big no-no everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you don't
So
want to
he was
get
going
children caught in your car's grill. That's just think of the poor car wash.
Dude, think of the mechanic.
Exactly. Why won't we think of the mechanic? But yes, continue.
Anyway, so he was stopped by a police officer, written up a ticket, and when he saw the price, he almost died on the spot, because guess what? I don't know which country this is, but they the police have access to your private records, meaning they know how much they are allowed to know how much money you make, and based on that, you will be fined.
Ooh. I love
So this dude
percentage
was,
fines.
yeah, so this dude was driving a Lamborghini around, meaning that this parody makes at the very least 7 or more digits a year. So what they took his yearly makings and gave him a 1% ticket, which resulted in over 100,000 euros fine.
I mean, hell, man, with that much money to reinvest into public safety in school zones, there might as well just be like a speed triggered spike trap that will just puncture people's tires out.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, if you want to make something super safe, you wouldn't do that. You would make this thing, I believe the like the what's it called? The oil sheikhs in Kuwait have this, and that is like a platform that raises up.
Yeah, the wall.
Yeah, so you just have a speed wall.
It's like, we have decided that your life is expendable due to the danger you may cause to others.
Yeah, so for example, if somebody's going, let's say the school zone is 30 kilometers an hour, that much I know, but somebody's going 70, that wall goes up. That wall goes up in enough time for them to know to hit the brakes, and if they don't, they die.
It's like woke purge with added bureaucracy.
Pretty much.
Oh wow! Actually, you know what? I'm perfectly behind this concept, and well, here, I guess the question is, which type of prosperity of these examples you've cited speaks the most to you?
Vogue purge and percentage fining.
I see. Well, if we're gonna go with percentage fining, why don't we also do percentage commodity price?
Because that would create new jobs that would essentially be a loophole for the rich, because what they would do is they would just give cash to poor people they've essentially hired as their personal butlers, and but they haven't hired them as such. They've hired them as like personal assistants, and they would do all of the shopping for them on their own cards, and that would kind of see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, so as usual, the rich will find a way to get out of taxes.
Wow, it's almost like, you know, they use their heads.
It's almost like, they're smart. To be fair, if you look at them in like their child form, I never thought of rich children as being particularly intelligent, but for some reason, it's once they become an adult and they realize how easy it is to lose money that they suddenly grow a brain.
Yes, it is. I mean, one of the reasons rich stay rich is because they don't spend. I mean, the stingiest people I've ever met were either not millionaires but close to it, or children of the same.
Yeah.
Like I know this dude. Back when you and I went to school, you also went to school with him, so I'm just gonna skip the name. His dad bought him a Ferrari for his 18th birthday.
I mean, you gotta have that drip, right?
And do you know what his dad did?
What?
He didn't register the car.
So basically, his dad got a
You wanna
lovely
reg-
showpiece for him.
Yeah, his dad bought him a Ferrari straight from the factory. It's in the garage. He has to get the driver's license himself. He has to register the car himself, and he has to buy the fuel for it. None of which his dad will give him a dime of, or a cent of.
Okay, you know what you actually like remind me of? I had a friend long before your time, right? Where his dad had like this classic DeLorean or something, which was not a great car to begin with, right? It's like it's
Mhm.
2000, or like the early 2000s. It's very hype, you know. And you're a teenager, you don't have a car, so you're like, oh, why can't I just take the rust bucket out there? It doesn't require that much work to class it up. And his dad's like, "Oh yeah, sure. By the way, that car is 20 years without registration with a lot of back fines on it. So, once you can pay that, it's all yours."
Oh, that reminds me of a story of this one dude. You can look it up. It's online. This legit happened. Where he got into a bad. He and his wife had a bad divorce. So, out of pettiness and spite, he took her car to an airport parking lot and left it there for a month.
That is very petty.
Yeah, the fines were in about 100,000 something dollars. This happened in the States, I believe.
Yeah.
And the car is in her name.
Which means that she
I
gets
don't
sued
know.
in civil court for not paying her. Yeah.
I think she countersued him, and I don't know what the result of that was, but I know that the state got its due. I don't know from whom, but somebody had to cough up 100 grand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question becomes: do you follow the spirit of the law or the letter of the law? Because the letter of the law would be like, yeah, who gave him the keys? Unless he stole them from you out of your pocket, it's you, lady.
Exactly, and I apply the same logic with D&D, unless it's like the rule of cool. I go with rules as written. I'm the rules as written guy, and I'm adamant about it, unless it's like a rule of cool, or if the rules as written would result in a player's death. In which case, well, I'm not going to follow them as written. I'm going to follow them as intended. But most of the time, it's rules as written because that thing has saved my life more than once, and you were present for one of those.
True. Honestly, I'm trying to remember. You've come close to death quite often.
Yep.
I mean, but as a comparison, I have actually died multiple times.
Okay, we're still talking D&D because I've come close to death in real life too.
I mean, shall we go into your favorite habit of traipsing upon the railings of 6-story buildings?
Which don't end up in lush greenery, they end up in marble flooring.
Yeah, I mean,
On top of
you kind of tempted fate there.
That's like you fall for the 3rd story, son. You're probably getting you might die, but odds are you might live depending on how you fall. Anything above, it's certain death. Like, your bones are gonna puncture something that shouldn't be.
Yeah. I don't remember where I saw it. It was like a GIF or something. But since we're on the topic of jumping off of buildings or falling off buildings, I saw this one guy. It looks like he jumped out of a window from like the 3rd floor of a building or something. And I was just like, the GIF cut off before like he made full contact, but it reached the point where his feet like touched the ground. Okay, and this guy apparently thought the smartest thing to do is to lean backwards when I land. His feet, like, you could see his ankles could visibly snap. I could hear the snap through the picture, and then all that force shot right into, like, his backside. I was like, oh, this man has no spine anymore. That spine has been shoved 2 inches up.
Actually, I've seen this in one of those like reality ER cases.
Yeah.
Where they just show up to a hospital and wait. Yeah, it's the TV shows like that don't exist anymore because just women tearing each other apart is more entertaining.
Yeah, we need to have sexist entertainment. That's how it works.
The jokes is, I mean, if you want anything like that, just go watch Bill Burr. He has a few good points.
True. Go watch the most bitter man on the planet.
I wouldn't call him bitter. He has a few good points. I mean, if he was that bitter, he'd be single.
True. I guess some people like their coffee bitter, and full of milk.
That's why I use them. Yeah. Anyway, back on topic. There was one dude who rolled into the ER and like his ankles were swollen, his knees were swollen, his hands were swollen, his face looked like he was hit by a car, and his entire spine, wherever there was supposed to be like joint was just like a bulge. So in short, what happened when he eventually came, he had nothing broken, surprisingly.
Damn.
So what happened essentially when he came to was he was found under an overpass of a highway, which are usually 15 to 20 meters above the lower part of the highway. So they can, really tall trucks pass through.
Yeah.
And he was found by the police, picked up by an ambulance, whatnot. What happens is apparently he forgot to take his medication, and he's a schizophrenic. So he jumped off the overpass onto concrete or pavement, whichever, of the underpass. And he broke nothing, but that's still a 15 to 20 meter drop. All right, he should have broken a few things and or died, but apparently he landed in such a way that he just bruised every single joint from ankles to face.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Broke nothing.
Do you know what my takeaway from this is? Because it makes sense. Bear with me here. Who has regenerative... How is this a difficult word for me? Who has regenerative powers? God, I hate that word now.
Regenerative
How
powers,
did you say it so easily?
Play D&D, and well, you don't play Magic anymore, but we play D&D a lot. Regeneration isn't exactly an uncommon word there. I mean, we fought a Hydra. Come on.
I hate you. Answer the question. Who has regenerative powers?
Really?
Yeah, just name anyone. Like, think of someone. Not real.
Every troll in existence.
Wolverine. Are you understanding the point I'm making now?
Deadpool.
We're going with Wolverine because it's more apt to the point. Stop questioning my meta. Okay.
Go on.
Wolverine. Trouble remembering himself, his past, and his identity. Regenerative powers. Ergo. Fun fact, kiddies. If you ever get schizophrenia, look forward to having regenerative... Damn that word!
This is great. I'm enjoying this. What kind of powers does he have?
Self-healy-dealy powers.
They sound... I mean, the word sounds similar to Reginald. What does it go? How does it go? What does it go? Reggie something.
Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of yourself? Do you feel like a man now?
Yes, actually. Thank you.
Oh. Everyone, Patsy hates puns, so please spam puns so I can start every episode with a nice retinue of puns for this proud man.
On the note of puns, they cause me physical pain. But this isn't even an exaggeration. Like, if a pun is bad enough, I'm gonna need a minute to recover.
But yeah,
a friend of mine actually made a pun that was so terrible, I legit felt chest pain for like 30 seconds. It's not like pain; it's just like pressure. It's like, imagine like when a small child sits on your chest, like a cousin or something, doesn't matter because you're just like goofing around with him. Yeah, that. Or like when you hold your phone on your chest for like an hour and a half nonstop, it's just like, I'm uncomfortable now.
I'd like to give a more, like, small child. No. Have you ever had a sheep sit on your chest? That right there. That's an accurate description of pun pain.
Contrary to popular belief, no, I have not had a sheep sit on my.
Oh, come on, man! Like, what? You don't have to be from Wales to be playful with sheep. They're also New Zealanders.
No, you can be. There's also a lot of Arab countries, but we're gonna move away from that.
True. You don't want the Greek sheep, though.
No. Why do I have a feeling that Greek sheep would be a very cool drug name?
For some reason, like you know.
Stick to the what Greek people do.
You know how like they're like there's grass with designer names, you know, like Libertine Dream or Cheddar Head or whatever, you know, and it has like a flavor added to that thing, like due to I guess really good science. I want you to imagine, would anyone buy would anyone buy grass that goes by the name Sitting Sheep?
You know, that's a very good question, and I'm gonna answer it with a question. If you're questioning that, why do people buy scented candles that have smell of the universe?
That's not a thing. The universe has no smell. The universe is mostly vacuum.
It does have a smell. It's called dust.
Okay. In a vacuum, there are no smells because there's nothing to transfer the smell.
I don't know. Have you ever opened the vacuum cleaner?
Did you actually use a pun against me?
Yes.
You are a monster.
It's good to be the king.
You know, at this point, you deserve puns. You deserve as good. You deserve to get as good as you give. Okay? Don't come crying to me when you have a stroke.
Going back to topic, we were at prosperity for whom, I
Yes,
believe.
and we identified your favorite was percentile fining.
Absolutely.
To me, I prefer to, and I was like, why leave it at fines? Why don't we have everything be a percentage? And you're like, oh, the rich will just, you know, hire servants to do that for them. With what money? With the money that I'm going to be taxing them with their electric bill and their water bill and their homeowner's tax, which are all now percentages according to their wealth.
Oh, fun fact. France actually attempted something like this, except they were dumb about it. The government, I mean. The way they were supposed to go about it was do that, but over like a span of a century, instead of just immediately. So what they did was like, oh, okay, if you now make more than $1 million, euros a year, we're gonna tax you 75% of it.
So it's like winning the lottery, you know? Every time I hear people like, oh, winning the lottery is great, I'm like, for the government, for their IRS, they take like 80% of your winnings. What did you win? They're like, you know, 200,000 is still good. I'm like, what decade are you living in where 200,000 has any meaningful contribution to your life? You have lived 2 lives worth of salary. Congratulations.
You paid 2 lives worth of salary in taxes.
No, like let's be honest. Most people earn, you know, in countries where a lottery will net you after taxes 200 grand. That's basically what someone would earn in their lifetime. I'd like to think. The average Joe Blow, not like rich people who wouldn't play the lottery to begin with. That's actually a legitimate question. Are you? That's a legitimate question. Are you a monster or like just some kind of reprobate if you are a billionaire and you play the lottery and win?
I know of people like
It's
this.
like, why? Why would you play the lottery when you already have more than the lottery?
You know why?
Tell me.
Because that's the only way of legal gambling they're allowed to do. And they have a gambling addiction.
Yeah, but like, there's more interactive and fun gambling than let me try to beat a random chance of numbers. Wait, no, that sounds stupid when I say it out loud. That is all of gambling. It doesn't have pretty lights. It doesn't have pretty lights and ding 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 sounds.
Anyway, I'm just bored of this topic, so we're just gonna move on. To
you don't have another tidbit of prosperity you want to share before I go into my penultimate one?
Oh wait, we're almost done.
I have one left. Yes, because I went through 3.
Really? I remember the acorn. That's it. What are the other 2?
I think the Pope would be upset with your lack of focus on Latin.
Okay,
Right.
so
So
what are the
recap for everyone else who's zoned out. Latin, druids tripping on acorns, and Irish people should sell their babies to the rich for dinner. That was me so far.
uh, well, I'm boring in comparison. I went more like I went more like discussion
I feel like
subject.
you decided to actually like fulfill the prompt, where I was like, let's talk about let's be educational, to people, like give a good way of understanding an abstract, and then I just completely dick around with the results. Whereas you're like, let's discuss
Yeah,
economy.
yeah. Oh, sorry, it was my major. Sorry, but that's not like it's not like I learned anything there. I just learned that I already knew most of that shit. So it's essentially I didn't even go to like the last year of college. I just paid for the tuition and stayed home.
I sent them a check in the mail. I got a diploma back.
Oh shit! I need to get my diploma. I forgot about that. I keep forgetting about that.
It's like you go to your employer. They're like, "Oh, where did you graduate from?" And you're like, "Oh, from XYZ." And they're like, "Oh, that's nice. Do you have a copy of your diploma?" And then like your world comes crashing down. You're like, "I still didn't pick it up."
Yeah, fun times. Anyway, so that was what were the other three? One was I'm gonna state them in advance because I'm gonna forget about him because I'm a forgetful bitch. So one was so first one was prosperity for whom. Second one was self prosperity, prosperity for others, and I forget what the last one was.
Okay, well, prosperity for others. I actually I will attempt to be serious for a moment. I actually read Thomas More's Utopia, right? And one of the things that I
Hmm?
think was a great takeaway, and probably is true, there's no such thing as prosperity for all. There's only prosperity for many at the cost of the few undeserving of it. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
I think he got smack dab correct. And one of the things that like ultimately is a deciding factor in prosperity is to remove, I think this was very clever, to remove a medium of exchange that would allow someone to have individuality when it comes to generating value, right? Because money is the most the most selfish expression, I think, because of the fact that it owes itself to nobody. You know, like it will just go wherever it goes, and you can very much outsmart it for your benefit. And if you have the most money, then suddenly you're the most important person, or the most deserving, or what have you, right? Whereas if I
Mm.
if I request that your character becomes the means by which like I value you, suddenly we enter into your actual deservedness, right? Not like, do you have the most medium of exchange?
Yeah, that reminds me of this short video I've seen on YouTube recently. I forget the guy's name, but in short, he was in class in college, and he was just like listening to class, and this guy next to him was having an argument with his
Mhm.
father apparently. So the guy next to him is like, "Hey, do you mind helping me settle an argument with my father?" And he's like, "Okay, sure, shoot. How many times a year is it acceptable to go uh to go on a cruise with your boat?" And he's just sitting there like, I'm sorry, we don't have a boat. And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend. A yacht." And the guy's like, "No, I think you're misunderstanding which part of offended, which part you were being offensive about. We don't like. For me, summer was going out when like Wendy's is closing and Wendy's or whatever fast food joint works in the area. I don't remember now, and getting food from them. That was the highlight of the summer. This guy's just like, how many times is it acceptable to go cruising on your boat?
Oh man.
different caliber of mentality is amazing sometimes to me.
Like the thing that I probably find the most entertaining in all of that is like the question the way it's presented. You know, like on your boat. You know, how many times is it acceptable to go cruising on your boat? And I guess my response to that would have been, well, if it's your boat, I don't mind going anytime you want, you know? Just like, hand me the keys. Mine? Ooh, no. Just no, honey.
Mine is beached.
Mine is in the mail.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It was one of those cases where you try to file a claim with FedEx because they lost it, and they're just like, "No, we delivered it, and now you're out of boat."
I mean, small rant on this, okay? One of the things that I hate the most about the
Prosperity.
right that happened. Ooh, I said the bad word. One of the things I hate the most about the last 2 years of human existence was the fact,
You can say.
but like it was the fact that I ordered a lot of things, as you know, most people would do stuck at home, and it came through the mail. Now I have the joy of living in a fairly authoritarian regime. Okay, so anything that came from the UK was considered biohazardous material. I paid for the product, it was shipped to me, but I wasn't allowed to have it. It was incinerated for security reasons. I kid you not. Because
Oh
it
my
came
God.
from the UK.
What did you do? What did they do with things that are like metallic and cannot be burned?
I have no idea. Like the funny thing is, like I even tried to commit the illegal act of monetary incentive with the customs, and they're like, "Yeah, I wish I could take it from you. It does not exist anymore. It is ash."
You could have gone like a step further and just be an asshole and just ordered like fully metallic shurikens, where they're like, "How is it ashes? What did you use? An 800-degree forge?"
We just threw it in with the slag.
It's like, what did you do? Ah.
And you know what it
Dumb.
actually was? It was a deck of cards. I was like, how is a deck of cards a threat to national security?
I mean, my guy, you ever heard of the deck of many things?
I feel like I've missed out on an important cultural zeitgeist.
No, it's an item from D&D. It's like a big no-no item that you, as the dungeon master, should not give your party, because one of them is I forget what they are, but one of them is, I believe, is called the 3 stars, and essentially it grants whoever pulls that card 3 wishes.
Ooh, it's like a genie.
Except this one doesn't have a limit. Whatever the dungeon master considers too much, he can just flat out refuse, but then the wish isn't used.
You know what I think would be possibly my favorite, like, of course, anytime you play D&D, right? Your passive objective is to always find a way to make the game a nightmare for the DM, right? The dungeon master. Do you know what I would do if like I had those 3 wishes? Like I wouldn't do anything game breaking in terms of ability, but I would very much destroy any like dedication to a fictional realm that this person has created with 3 very simple wishes. Okay? And they are in this series, the specific series of requests. 1, I wish to be invulnerable. As in, no physical harm may kill me. I can still die of old age. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Next, I wish to be completely turned inside out. So now I cannot die from blood loss or anything, as I am pulsating and dripping blood and human viscera everywhere I go. Thus being the stuff of nightmares for grown adults and little children. And the third thing I want to do is God, this was like the cherry on top. I want to have a magnetic draw to human beings where they will have to resist my centrifugal. There's another word. I swear to God, words. Centrifugal. The mm, centrifugal force of my body mass. So I am essentially a nightmare people have to struggle to run away from and cannot kill.
This is one. I love it. Uh,
Anytime I go into a city, I will basically be what destroys every social interaction crafted by the DM.
yeah, it's like it's not game breaking, but it's gonna kill his will to DM or
Whatever,
hers.
exactly. Meat man.
Ah, oh my god. Uh, anyway, back to prosperity for others. My favorite example for that would be parenting. Because, like, how I view parenting is you are not ready to be a parent until you're willing to make your life no longer about you. That's how I look at it. And which is why I am at my ripe age of 30, not ready to be a parent because I am too very egocentrical and selfish to make such a commitment.
No, I think that's as noble as it sounds. I actually think that's a very accurate statement because you can have children. That doesn't make you a parent. That makes them your offspring and you a progenitor, not a parent. I think a parent is more a role, right? That one has to adopt. So I actually agree with that.
Yep, and the care for prosperity for oneself usually does not entail misfortune or, well, lack of well-being for others. I didn't exactly structure this off correctly, so
all that grammar paying off.
But I mean, prosperity for oneself boils down to, from my point of view, the fact that everybody's so super, well, everybody, a lot of people are super self-conscious about, oh my god, am I being selfish or not? At least the ones who have, enough empathy and emotional capacity to actually comprehend that selfishness is a thing that you are doing. That they're actually being selfish in like 90 plus percent of their social interaction. But those who do figure it out come to such a point that, like, if you tell them they're being selfish, their entire personality breaks apart and they will essentially be your dog just to prove a point that they're not selfish. Like, you can emotionally manipulate some people into essentially being your servant because they just want to prove a point to more themselves rather than
actually,
you.
That's true. I think, like, if we were to talk about conscience, right, you really have to. I think the Pinocchio example expresses this very much, right? And we're not talking about Disney's Pinocchio or whatever modern day rendition. No. We're talking about the actual original Pinocchio, right? And one of the things you notice about Pinocchio's character, especially early on for most of the story, he just is not self-aware, and that's how he comes off as irredeemably selfish, right? Because if you can behave selfishly, but if you can actually stop, like, or be stopped by others to understand you're being selfish, that means you have the capacity to, understand that, it's not just you in this realm. You are not the hero of this story. There are other heroes. There are other stories.
Wait, there is this one word. I forget what it's. Sonder. Yes. Sonder. Look it up. I love that word. You can almost never use it in a sentence because it actually requires other people to know what it means. But what the word means is your awareness of the fact that you are just a passing face in somebody else's life, and that somebody else lives as intricate and complex and detailed a life as you are. The awareness that that's a thing, that every single little person, little dot on the screen, or every little person you see on the street. That sounds like I'm talking about midgets, which I'm not. Anyway,
The dwarves! The dwarves!
every single person you have ever met, encountered, or spoken with, or even just like physically seen or heard, has an intricate and as detailed life as you are. Now, why am I even pointing this out is sometimes it feels like the whole world is against you. That is absolutely incorrect. It's not. Everybody is for themselves. And this, again, boils down to prosperity for oneself. As in, if you stop and think about it deeply enough, nothing you have ever done in your life was not in some way, shape, or form selfish.
You're just hitting it with a lot of hard facts today, aren't you?
I chose those few topics because I wanted, I didn't want to just dick around with
yeah.
Irish
I
meat
mean,
babies.
let's be fair.
But
In this dynamic, I am the one who dicks around.
I'm gonna do that too. It's just
Stop
that I'm for
stealing my
everything. I'm not gonna.
identity.
But that's the fun bit.
Man after my own heart.
But for real, if you stop and think about it, if you even when you did something that could be labeled from outside point of view as absolutely selfless, the reason you did it, not you necessarily, Mazar, but the reason you did it was because you wanted to feel good, or you wanted this other person to, get something they want, and you will vicariously through them feel their joy.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's actually one of the things that I realized. They're rare moments, right? But there are these few moments where and it usually involves like children. I don't know. It's like children seem to be more genuine than adults. But if you do something,
Have capacity to continuously form and maintain lies.
yeah. But like the thing is, like if you do something, like if you do something nice for kids, and genuinely, if you do it in a way that surprises them as well, like supersedes their expectations, they give you a very genuine sense of joy because one, you did something nice, and two, you did it in a way they weren't expecting. And I like honestly that feeling of that genuine happiness or joy or gratefulness or warmth is very infectious and it's very real, you know. That's why I say it's rare because you have to master both. You really have to do something kind without strings attached, and you have to surprise the kid. Do it. You can do that with an adult. It doesn't feel quite as genuine, I find.
Yeah, and that brings me to my last point, which I finally remembered what it was. I need to write this thing down.
Sounds like you're maybe getting some schizophrenia. Have you tried jumping off an overpass?
No, I think the overpass would do much better than my, high school proclivities. Not so forgot. I used to like to walk on the ledge of a building to kill the time, and this was like a 20-something meter drop onto pure concrete.
Yeah, I mean, killing time is maybe not the only thing that could have been killed that day, but thankfully, time is the only thing that died.
Yeah, as did your will to live once I forced you to confront your fear of heights.
Yeah,
But that's a
thanks
different
for
story.
that, by the way. You are the kind of parent that teaches a toddler to swim by not just throwing them in the deep end, throwing them with weights on.
I wouldn't do that.
It's like, oh, silly me, did I inflate your floaters with sand?
I think they would figure that out when they couldn't lift them. But that's another point. My last point was prosperity, but to what end?
Mm.
My examples that I would like to use is are unfortunately both fictional, but one ties in heavily into what's actually happening and in the real world. And so first one was, I forget the dude's name, the bad guy from Incredibles 1.
Oh god. I know what he
you know
looks
the
like.
that guy who was like he will essentially he was what he was planning to do was make all of his once he eventually retires one day, uh, make his technology uh, free use so that everybody could have it, so that everybody would be like a superhero, so that essentially
Hmm.
nobody would be. Sure, this would bring of prosperity for humankind, but it would also bring wanton destruction until it was properly regulated. Because Lord knows the military and all of the criminal elements would just go for
Can,
it like
can
crazy.
can I highlight what I consider to be egregious plagiarism here? The first Incredibles, and I didn't realize it until now, just stole the premise of the first X-Men film. The first
Wait,
one.
which X-Men film? Like,
They
oh my
absolutely
God, you're
did.
right. That's what he did. Magneto was, uh, no pun intended, an absolute idiot about the placement of the device. I mean, if he placed that center of Manhattan and not in the middle of the night, but in broad daylight when there's 5 million people more there, or 2.5 actually, 2.5 million people more there than there usually are because they drive there to work and then go
Yeah.
home. Um, he would have gotten a
Yeah,
much
I was
bigger
like,
number.
why Liberty Island? Why the Statue of Liberty? That's stupid. It's literally an island. You could have gone to freaking center of New York. You could have gone to the Empire State Building.
Or better yet, instead of being if we're talking how things should be if they weren't dressed up for Hollywood, he should have gone to I don't know any really Indo-Asian country and just pick the
No, no,
capital
no, no. We
city.
we need to have like people who speak English, you know. But no, straight up. Instead of even going on the East Coast, right? If you want to the East Coast, go to DC, right? Make a statement at the capital. Otherwise, if you're going for most populated, you cannot spit in a single neighborhood in Los Angeles without hitting like 6 million people.
Yeah, but that still is beside the point. My main point is that in the Indo-Asia, there's more people living in that segment than the
Ah,
rest
yes,
of the world.
population density per square mile. I see what you mean.
That's my whole point. So if he went to, I don't know, Bangkok. No, not Taiwan. Well,
Why are we
Taiwan is
stuck
not
on
actually densely
islands
populated.
today?
You're gonna have to cut out Taiwan.
Oh, you mean Little China?
Anyway, what was the thing? That and I don't know, maybe not have the one person who can replicate your powers die in the process. That would be a great idea too.
The problem is you're thinking like a normie, okay?
Yeah, that was one point, and another point, prosperity to one end that I was gonna use was this obscure manga I read like a decade ago, where essentially the biggest evil organization is like the UN, because their point isn't to cause as much havoc as possible. Their point is to make sure that everybody who can have kids does have kids and does have enough food to feed them so their kids can have kids, so that in about a century you reach a point of overpopulation to such an extreme that the world goes to shit.
So basically the UN. Oh, how is this fiction again?
It was drawn on a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's how we avoid the libel case. It's transformative
Yeah.
art.
Yes. Which reminds me, um, what countries are going through? I think India is going through that right now, or it has been for the past 30 something years, where medical technology has advanced to such a degree that out of the 8 kids you're expected to have, you have, out of 8 of them, instead of 2 surviving, all 8 survive, and now you're suddenly starving.
See Jonathan Swift's proposal? I'm telling you, man, it's the future.
And beyond my point,
I'm just saying, that's the nice thing about everything falling under one abstract umbrella of prosperity. You're mentioning problems to prosperity. I've got solutions.
you eat because you like food. I eat because I would
We
starve and
can
die.
both meet in the middle.
I mean, come on, the way I survived the anemic panda Do
The
you
way
get it?
you survive the anemic panda. Yes, I get it. I get it.
Up the words, say panda and
I
anemic.
know what you were
Get you.
saying. I'm not gonna fall for this trap.
Again. Anyway. Anyway, the anemic panda was I essentially just lied on my side and read a book for like 3 months while essentially doing nothing else. Like my movement was at most get up and make food for myself once a day, go to the store twice a week at most to buy groceries for my grandparents who were physically not allowed to leave the house. Not allowed, but you know, it was a death sentence for them to leave the house because they were like 80 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Walks in, they would just walk from one end of the apartment and back like 20, 30 times. Whereas in most people gained weight during the anemic panda, I lost weight because my muscles atrophied. Now, like, you know how you can, what's it called? You have those people whose skin you can pull. Like, it's a skin condition where you can pull their skin like to ridiculous lengths. Yes, I had that, but that not because I had a skin condition, but because I lost like 15 kilograms of muscle in
Well, I mean, look at it this way. On the bright side, you slimmed down. You toned.
Yeah, too bad
Yeah,
my fat
that's
didn't
actually
get the memo.
the one thing that I've realized. You can lose weight and not lose fat because you're just losing muscle. It ends up making you look like much older than you normally are. 'Cause everything still jiggles. You're just in a smaller frame.
Yeah, which is why I have that one folder with like 4 pictures of me back when I had only 80 kilograms. Now that sounds like, what do you mean only? My current weight is 100, and that's my healthy weight. Uh, like anything that's around under 90, I look, skinny. Back when I was like 80 kilograms, I could like cross my legs in a braid, if you understand me.
No, I understand you. Yeah,
Like
you didn't have sexy
when you
calves.
like cross, I had no calves, I had no thighs, I was a skinny bastard. You could like see my ribs from the even though I still had my
That
belly
actually
because I was
is
fat.
that actually is quite funny. Like I once had the privilege of seeing your body, like what you were doing, what this ridiculous chair exercise, right? Your chair push-ups, and one of the things that I remember is that your body just decided it wants hard angles on everything. You had like very what's it, slanted shoulders, right? And you had like this pyramid shape for your upper torso, like pointing down, and then just round on the sides, and it goes back to like sleek. It's like you were the weird combination of fit fat.
Yeah, it's fat is like it's not even fat anymore. It's just like a part of my body permanently, which unironically is I forget what the term was, but like your body remembers its shape, and that's why when people lose weight rapidly, they gain it again. While I have a friend who cannot gain weight to save his life. Not that he's skinny, but like no matter what he eats or does or drinks, he's never gonna gain weight because he's been skinny his whole life, or fit, I should better use the term, and that's just what his body is used to. And to change that, you need to keep a certain body shape for like 5 years. Yeah, that number is kind of the killer there. Usually it's like, oh, it's only 3 weeks to change a habit, blah blah. It's like, yeah, your body disagrees
Your
with that.
body does not like change.
Oh,
To be fair, like there are only two situations in which people like change, right? The first is when it makes them happier in their relationship, and the second is when they're going to the arcade. But
okay,
exactly.
that
See,
wasn't
that's the
terrible. That
difference
was
between
funny.
a real pun meister and whatever the hell you were doing to me.
Change. Friend of mine was supposed to show up and celebrate New Year's with me and my darling. But he decided to forget to inform me that he's not gonna do that, even though I checked with him the day prior, in person. So it's not like
Yeah.
he wasn't understanding what I was saying. And he confirmed, yeah, totally. So so I called him like 6 hours before New Year's, so 6 p.m. essentially, to double check, and he's like, "Oh no, me and my roommate aren't gonna show up. We're gonna do something else." I'm like, "What for?" "Well, we just don't feel like sitting at home." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I held a grudge for about 2 months. Didn't talk to him for over a month because of it. Even though he profusely apologized, I was like, "Yeah, this isn't even close to being even." So what I did for his birthday, I went to a bank and I was like, "Hi, I have this amount of money. I would like all of it in coins, the smallest denomination you have." Uh, so I emptied that bank, and then a few days later, I went to another bank, and I'm like, "Hi, I have this amount of money. I want all of the smallest denominations you have." And each time they looked at me like I was crazy. But in the second bank, after they realized what I'm doing, that I'm actually, just pranking a friend for his birthday, they were very happy about it because they had no idea how to get rid of it.
You're like chaotic good in the eyes of the bank.
Yes. So we got this nicely smelling box where my darling got bath bombs for New Year's for my mother, or birthday, I forget what, but she got bath bombs. So the box was already nicely smelling, and we just kept it around, to keep the bath bombs in, which she still hasn't used up all of them, but we're gonna fix that. Um, so what I did is I got like a cup, an entire cup of glitter. We duct taped the bottom of the box from inside and out so it doesn't pour anywhere. Uh, and I tasked my darling to pour glitter, then money, glitter, money, glitter, money, glitter, money. Close the box, put the box in a bag, shook it around violently so it mixes up properly. Then opened up the box, put those like styrofoam marshmallows on top so you can't see what's in there. Closed the box, taped it again so that if it falls over by any chance, A, it doesn't open, B, no glitter spills into the car, because I would lose my shit if it did.
I mean, your car would be ab fab, you know.
Yeah, he was very pleased when he opened he was like, "Oh my god, what's in here? Why is this so heavy?" I'm like, You'll see." He opened it up. He's like, "Oh yes, styrofoam marshmallows, my favorite." Starts taking them out. Apparently he lost his patience because he could grab only like 4 or 5 at a time. There was like 50 in there. Shoved his hand, and you could hear the point of contact when his fingers made with the coins, and just his mood immediately left the room.
Oh man.
When he realized that it's all just coins. And the thing is, I'm a relatively strong parody, and I was carrying that box in one hand while we were walking to his house. And keep in mind, that's like
Yeah.
5 kilograms of metal.
That's a mild exercise at the gym.
Yeah, especially because it was like a 5-minute walk, and I had to like keep up appearances so it doesn't look heavy. In any case, um, so he took out a few coins just to see, and then he noticed there was glitter on them, and his already not so great mood was just like absolute defeat.
You managed to hurt his body with the first crunch against the coin, and then you managed to hurt his soul with the glitter.
Oh, it gets. Well, by the way, we videoed all of this, so I can send you that later
I'm going to relish
if
this.
you want. We already gave. So his already annoying, loud, obnoxious, horrific sense of humor. And when I say horrific, I mean dankest of memes sense of humor. Uh, we, when I say we, I mean I, but it's a we because we took money from like the four of us and just combined it into this monstrosity. So half the money went into coins, the other half went into a lip harmonic. Uh, I believe what it's called, a small plastic trumpet, Three of those little honking horns you would
Yeah.
put on a bike that go like "Toot-it." Two lasers that go like up to 15-20 meters in broad
Okay.
daylight. At night they go even further. And last one, what was the last one? Oh yeah, and that small like styrofoam gun. Yes, so we gave quote unquote weapons to his already obnoxious, annoying roommate, who just screamed. He just screamed loud the entire
He's like,
time.
finally, the means of my ascension have arrived. Like,
Yeah.
I swear to God, I imagine the minute he saw this, he like shoved all the horns into his mouth with the Jew harp on the side, like the mouth harp on the side, lasers in each hand, and just ran around screaming and whirling lights, honking and twanging as he goes.
Well, not exactly like that, but you're not far off. So we're gonna keep. Yeah. So this again ties back into prosperity for whom? Because somebody pointed out when they noticed like what was happening. It's like, is it just me or is this a little targeted? I'm like, yes, that is absolutely correct. This is specifically targeted to
This
piss
is
him
a
off.
hate crime, but it makes everyone else happy.
And as he was leaving the room, I told him, "Oh, by the way, now we're even for New Year's."
Like the salt. You have managed to break down this poor man. And like at this point, I'm sympathizing with him just out of pity. You have managed, not because of like his character or anything. You have managed to break him down in every possible sense of the word. You broke him physically. You broke him spiritually. You broke him mentally. And now you even stole his dignity.
The dignity part came last when he's like, I don't give a, he was like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna leave this on the side. When I told him that money in there is his day's wage. Like, there's enough money for how much he makes a day in there, in glitter coins.
You know, I sincerely hope. You know, I'm grateful. No, it's not a matter of hope. I'm actually grateful that you don't work for the military, because this is like the least offensive in terms of breaking the law, and yet most detrimental form of torture I've ever heard placed upon a human being. Like at this point, ripping his nails is a mercy.
Yeah. My favorite part was like when his other friends were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I go to this like pharmaceutical college, and we have just like a ton of vinegar and medicinal alcohol. You can just wash it off." And I'm like, "Yeah. Why do you think?" I was just thinking to myself, "Yeah, because taking 5 kilograms of coin and putting it in a bathtub and then using alcohol and/or vinegar is totally not a pain in the ass, especially
and make
when you
your
gotta dry
entire
it off."
apartment smell of vinegar. Oh,
Yep.
it's like the funny thing is, when it comes to these particular like caustic things, it's so strange, right? There are two minds when it comes to disinfecting stuff. This is just a small tangent. You either use vinegar, right, or you use bleach. And I found that I'm like in the bleach camp. The smell of bleach I find offensive, but not as much as vinegar. I can actually survive the smell of bleach. I physically feel sick if anyone washes anything in vinegar. I don't understand it.
Such terrible roommates, because one of my favorite salads is just like a head of lettuce with vinegar.
I don't even want to go camping with you if you're gonna eat salad in front of me. Yeah, roommate. Also, what monster eats lettuce and vinegar? Eat a potato chip with it or something. God
What?
damn, man.
It's not a meal, it's a salad. A side dish, I eat that with other things. It's not just lettuce and vinegar, that's all it's gonna
the way
be.
you presented it, it did sound like lettuce and vinegar. Just that.
No.
Like,
No.
imagine you just take a whole head of lettuce, just dip it, and eat it. Let's be honest, you would do that.
Do you know how big of a mouth? Like I would have to unhinge my jaw like a snake to just bite down on it.
I love how it's not the flavor profile that bothers you. It's the mechanics of chewing it.
People think, oh, a head of lettuce. A head of lettuce is called a head because that's literally.
Well, something tells me if you're forceful enough, you'll get the job done. Do you remember what was actually the last in-person thing that we did? Like the last in-person exchange we had before you were leaving the country?
I legit don't remember. Don't give me the silent treatment.
I'm giving you the silent treatment now. I'm judging you. The last thing I did was I competed against you to consume a Happy Meal. Winner is the one that finishes fastest. Okay? And the funny thing is, I shoved the whole thing into my face, and you casually chewed, and you had this smugness on your face like, oh, you think that's faster? And you would literally cause me to laugh to the point that I couldn't chew, let alone swallow, as you casually ate your sandwich, looking at me choke to death, shoving a whole like Happy Meal burger in my face. I mean,
did I win or not?
You did, but that's not the point.
Yeah. Fun times. All right, on the next installment of this dumpster fire we call a podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into detail on how I gave my friend Mazar a heart attack. A physical heart attack, not like I scared him, but the dude thought it was going into cardiac arrest. And how that was socially acceptable. We're going to go into that later.
I actually think we should save that for the next episode. Next week.
That's what I said.
Well, how am I supposed to know that you meant next week? Are you going to turn this into an old couple fight?
I said on the next episode. Next time we come back. We're not taking a 5-minute break.
It's like... I'm actually speechless. I was trying to come up with some comeback, but I was like, did he? Now I just sound insane.
Did he agree
Are we in
with me
agreement?
or not? What's happening?
Huh? Alzheimer's? Oh man, yeah. That'll be the thing to look forward to next week. Alzheimer's caused by elevators and heart attacks caused by Patsy. All right. Well, in that case, we shall bid you all adieu. Enjoy your week of adventuring, and we'll see you next week. All right.
My fellow
listeners. Adios, my fellow listeners. And just that.